Nebraska wins a one-score game against Cincinnati to start the 2025 football season, 20-17. I feel like this was planned. I really do. I kind of almost feel like Matt Rule wants to make a point about putting everybody in stress and winning games when they're on the line with trying to kill me with another heart attack or something. My favorite part of this game was how our offense stretched the field and put stress on the Cincinnati defense. It's a joke, for God's sakes. Nebraska won. It's a win, 20-17. It counts as much as we beat them 48-24. There were two things. I did a short video this morning, and I said two things that we would watch to see if Nebraska is going to have a really good season. In other words, I said they'd go 10-2. I should revise that to like 8-4 or 7 or 6 or 6-6. I can imagine a lot of people are going to feel like, well, we barely beat a crappy Cincinnati team, and I don't know. Maybe Cincinnati's better than we think. But there were two things in the video I did this morning that I said to watch out for. And that was, number one was an offense that would score close to 40 points. Well, we got half of that. And a defense that was solid against the run. And we didn't do that either. So, yay. It's a win. Did I say it's a win? Okay, let's look at this. 20-17, Nebraska pulls out a nail-biter thanks to Malcolm Hartzog's interception toward the end of the game when Cincinnati was in field goal range. So, I mean, it was a turnaround where we're used to losing those damn one-score games. We did win one to start the season. Maybe it's an omen that we're going to become that team that can eke out those games like that other black and gold team we have to play every year. That one, that we, whatever. Why did I bring that up? I don't know. Okay. Average, here's the thing. Cincinnati's average yards per rush, 6.7. Well, that's not good. I mean, that's not in any way, shape, or form good. That's pretty terrible. We held them in the first half. We were fairly decent on offense, so I think we got them down to like a 4-yard average somewhere in there. I looked at the stats throughout the game. But then, in the second half, they had some drives, and they put some, they put some runs together. And, almost cost us the game. Their quarterback was, I think their quarterback was very athletic. Obviously, the last pass of the game was a bad choice by him, but it worked out well for us. Let's see what else. Special teams, we punted the ball well. We kicked the ball out of bounds, once or twice? But we punted the ball well. That was a big factor. I think, pinning them down, I think was inside the 10 twice. The punts weren't really, there was not a lot of drama. There wasn't bad snapping going on. Our guy made a 52-yard field goal that honestly ended up winning the game. So those are all positive things. The special teams, they weren't like lights out. We didn't get punt returns out of it. But put it this way. With last year's special teams, we lose this game. So that's a positive, right? It is. 52-yard field goal and pretty clean on special teams. Defense, again, giving up the run. We played pretty well for a while. I already said that. I'm not sure what else to say there, and I'm not sure what they're going to do about it. I don't like the idea that we don't have a good, nice, big 320-pound guy somewhere on the defensive line. But we don't, and we're just going to have to see how that works out the rest of the season. I know we can project, I usually recommend we take this one game at a time because it's more mentally healthy than this. I would like to know in the comments, are you gonna check out because of this? Are you just gonna give up and quit watching Nebraska football for the season because, oh my God, we won a close game against a team that we think is not very good? Are you gonna keep watching? Are you an addict like me? Do we need to get help together? Do we need to go to counseling together? Is this counseling? Anyway, let's get to the offense. The offense is maddening. It's crazy. It's maddening to me. And I know we're probably going to hear excuses all week, like Cincinnati played and kept everything in front of them, things like that. Okay. Emmett Johnson is a good strong back, but he's not going to break anything open, and that's kind of a real problem because the one I kept trying to think, this offense isn't terrible, but it's driving me insane. And why is it driving me insane? It was driving me insane for something I said before that was a joke. We didn't stretch their defense at all. We didn't really challenge their defense. I think we threw one pass maybe that was over 20 yards, maybe once, if even that. Did we even throw a 20-yard pass? Zero explosive plays. Unless if you're, a lot of explosive plays, they will say a 20-yard pass is an explosive play or a 10-yard runs. And we did have, Emmett had a few 10-yard runs, over 10 plus. So technically those are explosive plays. I'm not giving them that. There were no explosive plays in this game. It was, it was the most bland, boring, not great anything really all the way around on the offense. The Hunter catch in the end zone, he got the ball. I mean, that was a nice play. That was probably the play of the game, the biggest play of the game. I want to say we wouldn't have made that last year. No, I think that's probably correct. Dylan Raiola went 33 of 42 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 79% completion rate, and a quarterback rating of 142.9. You know what? That's actually pretty good. Here's the key. Average yards for completion was 7.4. That's pretty low. I mean, it's not completely horrifying, but it's really low. And the problem with this offense is with this kind of efficiency, where we only averaged 3.1 yards per rush. I suppose there's a lot of you that thought, well, we should have ran the ball more. Why? We averaged 3.1 yards per carry. My world, I think we should be throwing the ball more, but you got to challenge somebody deep sooner or later. Okay, I had a thread there going in my brain about this offense. It's maddening. We don't take risks. Dylan Raiola did scramble for a nice first down. He didn't do that thing that he did last year and slide short of the first down. So, I mean, that's a positive. And again, the almost 80% completion percentage without a turnover, that's really quite excellent, actually. But again, it's just, wow. Just no real excitement, no explosive plays, no going downfield, not even attempt to take shots downfield. Is this a first game thing? Is this a let's keep it simple on the first game? Let's purposely only win by one score in the first game? These are the things that are driving me nuts, and I'm sure we'll have all week to talk about them. It is a win. I've said that. What else do I need to say about this game? I'm sure that people, at one point they measured the crowd at 142 decibels, if I read that correctly. That's an unbelievably loud stadium. I know that there's crap tons of you that made the trip down to Kansas City, and that's, that's kind of cool. I imagine that you're probably thinking this is going to be a long ride home, but I hope, if you're watching this on the way home, it's a win. We're going to move on to Akron. We're going to move on to Houston Christian, and then we're going to see what the rest of the season gives us. One of the things I'd be aware of all week is like excuse making for why this was, quite frankly, really kind of a bland, boring game in which Nebraska really didn't look as crisp or as good as we wanted them to. I'm interested in all your thoughts. Try not to get too down about it. I think it's still a really good, we have the chance to be a good football team. I don't think 10-2 probably at this point, unless something really. One more thing. That was it. We ended up with 4 penalties for 20 yards. That's not bad, except that one of those penalties was right down in the red zone. And I think that I had posted on Corn Nation a couple of days ago that the number one thing this team needs to fix, along with the 2 things I mentioned this morning in the short video, is scoring in the red zone. And red zone, Nebraska was 3 for 3. You would have liked to seen us get a touchdown on that play where Elijah Pritchard, had a false start. I'm not sure why you would put him in there at that point in the game if Matt Rule's already said he's had problems with false starts during practice. And the other wild thing about that play was they lined up in the T formation. Nobody runs that anymore. Well, Penn State, I think, has run it once in a while, but it's pretty rare. And I would have liked to see what kind of a play they would have run out of it. So that was unfortunate. Okay, if you're on your way home, safe travels. Keep your heads up. It's a win. I'm not in the bathroom. Go Big Red. How's that? Thank you for watching.